response, very
Hold on.
brief.
Please. I will grant you the response, but don't start until I give you that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I will give you 1 minute, and then I will give Ms. Bryce. Is that you're asking for something? Okay, I'll give you 1 minute as well. Yes, Mr. Spector.
Perhaps it would be appropriate if I would like to respond to both, and maybe Ms. Bryce.
Mr. Spector, you basically made your case. We made our case. We never interrupted you. We never made any kind of response. So we're not going to, this is not a court of law. This is a city council meeting, but I appreciate the offer.
Fair enough. With that being said, sir, Mr. Murphy brought up once again.
Mr. Spector, you are out of order at this point. Mr. Spector, you're out of order. You're asking the question that I asked you not to ask. You're, Mr. Spector, please, okay?
Sir, I was responding to those two.
Mr. Spector, this is a city council meeting, and I will maintain control of this city council meeting. It's not going to be a Q&A. You stated your case, we're going to state our case, or Mr. Murphy's going to state his case, and that's the way that's going to be. Now, Ms. Bryce, did you say you needed to say something? Yes, please.
Am I being denied the rebuttal then, sir?
Yes.
That you just gave, that you
You
told
are.
me you, okay.
I said you could have 1 minute, and then you started rebutting, so we'll just let it go at that. You are now officially gavelled. Yes, Ms. Bryce?
I don't know if it's appropriate to say this, but
Cheryl, Ms. Bryce, you should probably come up, state your name, and ask Mr. Spector for the microphone.
my name is Cheryl Bryce. I'm the police administrative assistant. My name is Cheryl Bryce. I'm the police administrative assistant. I've been there over 11 years. I would like to say to Dave that we wanted you to work out. We were thrilled that you were there. And there's been complaints not only from me, but officers. You know, it's not something that I've got against Dave.
Ms.
I
Bryce.
care about the guy.
Ms. Bryce, I'm going to have to cut you off, too.
Okay.
This is more of an editorial than anything else, but we appreciate your
Oh, okay.
sentiments. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, do you have more to say?
I do not.
Okay,
I
very
don't
good.
take any questions from the council, however.
From the council, okay. Is there any questions from the council? Mr. LaFever, do you have anything else for us?
No, I think you can proceed at this point to consider a resolution if that's the desire of the council. I think unless you have questions about what the legal framework is, I think that's been covered.
Well, council, is there a question? Is there anybody that's willing or unwilling to proceed from this point? Or do you feel like you've got enough information? Do you feel like a vote is?
Mayor, a quick question.
Yeah, Mr. O'Loughlin.
Mr. DeFever, is it, are we locked in now here at this point of having to make a decision one way or the other? Or is there a possible room for some negotiations yet? Just to grab something out of the air, let's say another 3 months of probation, or is he at the end of his probationary period and no such thing can happen like that?
The way, Mayor and members of the council, the way I'm reading your personnel policy, it does not permit a further extension beyond the 12 months. So the initial period was 6 months, it was extended to 12. And the policy is pretty clear that there's no further extension beyond the 12 months, which ends on December 15th.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, sir.
Yes, Mr. Lang.
You know, it's like he said, she said in here, a lot of this as we were going. It'd be great to be able to speak to each one of the individuals that's being implied, that they said this and they didn't say this. This is like court hearing, very tough, because everything hinges on the he said, she said thing. And I find it very difficult to make decisions with that kind of coming on, if you would. Anyway, I have no more comments. That's just a comment that I'm having trouble with. I can't ask that the other individual that we're saying didn't say that to come
Right,
here.
right.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Ms. Underford.
Okay, one of the questions that keeps coming back to me as I read through all of this and listened back and forth, do we have a requirement anywhere that states that 2 police officers have to go on every call and that the police chief has to be on every call? Do we have that requirement anywhere?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Trost.
If we deny this resolution, what, or I'll put it this way, if we didn't have this problem, what would have happened December 15th? Would there have been a contract?
Yeah.
What would have happened? I know, I want everybody else to know. What happens December 15th if this didn't come up?
Would you like me to respond?
He's an employee.
For how long?
Till he doesn't want to be.
Okay, well, like when we did Mr. Murphy, it was a 2-year contract after his
Yeah,
probation.
going in.
Is that correct?
Yeah, initial contract was 18 months, and the second was 2 years, correct?
Yes. What was going to happen with this? Was
Well-
there going to be a contract?
No, may I respond to this?
please.
Okay, yes. Where is it? Let me just find it here. Okay, completion. An employee who has completed a period of probationary service and who has not received before completion of that period a written notice from the department head that his or her services are terminated shall be considered to have successfully completed the probationary period and attained the status of non-probationary employee.
So the only employee that has a contract is the city administrator?
Yes.
And you can't make a contract with other people?
That one I might defer to Councilor LaFever.
Well, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you could certainly have an employment contract with another employee, but there is not one that exists in this case. So the section that Mr. Murphy read from the personnel policy is the one that applies here. And it just says, if you don't take action before the end of the probationary period, then he becomes a non-probationary employee, subject to the other rules that apply to regular employees under the personnel policy. He does not have an employment contract, and he's not subject to the union bargaining contract.
But, Mr. Mayor, if he doesn't behave himself, he can be taken away from the throne and fired.
He would still, even after the probationary period is completed, he would still be subject to the performance standards of his job
For cause.
and still be subject to termination on a cause basis, correct?
Then